When you're shy, it's really hard to network and make connections in the industry or talk to customers. I'm a really shy person. That's why I started this challenge, to get rid of my fear of speaking. I'm not an expert at networking and talking to people, but I can share some of the stuff I've learned and hopefully it'll help my shy friends out there. I'm with you. So to start off, one thing that really helps me when I'm feeling really shy is to remember that everyone pays way more attention to themselves than you. So when you're talking to someone and you say something super awkward or kind of weird, most of the time people aren't going to notice or care because they're too busy being focused on the weird, awkward thing they said. And honestly, if someone is gonna think lowly of you because you accidentally said something wrong, they're a jerk. Who needs them? Yeah, just keep that in mind when you are going out and talking to people, that everyone is a little bit shy and anxious when they're talking to other people. I hope that brings you some comfort. It brought me comfort when I started realizing that. Especially when you meet someone who's super cool and chill and you're the most chill person I've ever met. And they're like, oh no, I'm totally shy. And you're like, what? So yeah, that's super comforting. I hope it helps. Next, it's really important to expose yourself to situations where you have to talk to people. For me, working in customer service really forced me to talk to total strangers because I had to, I was working in a cafe. I had to go up to the cash register and take people's orders and chat with people. It got me to talk to people every single day, and it got easier with every day that I did it. Sure, when I started, I had a script, if you've ever been to a restaurant, there's always the typical stuff that people say, hi, how are you? What's your order? Da-da-da. So I knew what to say to people, which is great. Because when you just meet a total stranger, on the bus, what do you say? But yeah, having a script really helped because it gave me something to always say to them until it started coming a lot more naturally, and I stopped worrying about what I was saying. And so through basically being forced to talk to people, total strangers every day, I started making friends, and I made friends with the regular customers, and it was really easy to connect with people even if they only came into the cafe once because I'd put in all that practice. Being social is a bit of a skill. Like anything, you have to work at it to get better at it. And I've also done that kind of thing with having a table at a comic convention. So Bones and I, when we started going out to cons, we really forced ourselves to talk to every single person who walked by our table. And it was really hard at first. And usually when we first get to a con, I'm really nervous to pull people over to our table and say hi and talk to them. Even though usually when people stop in front of our table, I'm usually just saying hi, how are you? How are you enjoying your weekend? Really, small talk. Nice things to ask to someone, but it's still a little nerve-wracking every time. But I've learned with practice that most people don't care. If they do care, they're just gonna look at me and walk away, and it doesn't matter. But talking to every single person who's walked by our table, one, it's boosted sales, because we've been able to show our books off to more people and talk to shy people who wouldn't have approached us otherwise. And I've also made tons of friends who, I meet every time we go to a con. And, every year we catch up, what we've been doing for the past year. Force yourself to go talk to people. Getting a job where you have to talk to people is a great way because, in order to get paid, you have to do that part of your job. But there's other ways you can do it. Go to cons. If you're in school, start going to clubs, start talking to people in your classes. Get yourself out there. Make yourself talk to people. Even though it's super scary and awkward when you start. And along those same lines, don't be afraid to make small talk. I hate small talk. Everyone hates small talk. It's awkward and weird. The more you small talk with people, the more of a connection you build with them. So say it's your coworkers, right? And every day when you see them, you say, hi, how are you? How was your weekend? Did you do anything fun last night? Every time you ask that and you get their answer and you ask follow-up questions, your friendship skill is like going up. And they have, more nice interactions with you where, you're just being curious about their lives and what they're up to. And everyone wants that person who's like asking questions about themselves, right? And small talk is usually like really simple questions that anyone can answer, like, how have you been enjoying the weather? Or what did you do the other night? Or do you have any plans for the weekend? Like really simple stuff that anyone can answer. And it's super easy to just ask a question and then listen. So do that. Force yourself to do it more. It'll make talking and starting conversations way easier. You'll quickly find out that people want to talk about themselves, and they're really excited to find someone who will listen to them. And you'll bond super quick. And if they're super nice, they'll ask questions about you, and then you guys can be friends. And so after you've done all these like big scary things where you're forcing yourself to go out there and talk to your coworkers and talk to strangers and pull people over to your table at cons and like sell to them, reward yourself for doing all of this big scary stuff. Even for like little small things. I give myself rewards whenever I answer an email that I'm really anxious about answering. And they're usually like simple things. Like when we were ordering books, I was super anxious about answering the emails between like the print shop and me. I was so nervous about answering them. I don't even know why. But every time I answered them and I was nervous going into it, I would reward myself. And like sometimes it was like, oh, I can have a piece of chocolate, or I can have a 5-minute break from work. Reward yourself however you think is best. Positive reinforcement works. Okay, so say you're going to a networking event, right? So like a conference or a mixer or whatever, and you're going to go talk to all these like big names or other people in the industry, or like an agent, or, some kind of influencer. When you go to these places to talk to these people and you meet someone, so even if it's like someone you're a fan of, like a really cool artist or something, don't go into the conversation and talk about your work or try to sell your work to them or your resume or whatever. The best thing you can do at those conferences or mixers is to, like the small talk, ask questions about them. So like ask, say you're talking to like an agent or something, ask them about what they're working on. Bones' favorite question to ask people at these things is like, what are you passionate about? Which gets some really great answers because you learn a lot about the person and you can connect about all these cool things that you're passionate about. Personally, I really like hearing what people are passionate about. You get a lot of good energy from someone when you ask them that. But going straight into like a sales pitch when you first meet someone will it gives the wrong impression. It makes them think like, oh, you don't really care about talking to me, you just care about selling your book. This person's self-centered, they're just talking about themselves this whole time, right? So it can put out the wrong impression. Whereas, talking to someone and getting to know them and being curious and asking questions, that's how you make friends. Like when you first meet someone and you start becoming friends with them, you're usually just swapping information about your lives, right? So when you go to conferences or mixers or whatever, just pretend you're out with friends. Because honestly, that's really what you should be there to do, is just make friends, connect with people, let people know that you're nice and cool, have fun. The point of them, sure, it's a networking opportunity, but, the best networking is just making friends with people. And the same thing goes for online interactions. Instead of trying to sell your book or get views on your comics, just talk to people. Just make friends with people. Share your friends' work. Engage with other creators. Make jokes with people. Have fun. Make friends. You all know how to make friends. Connect with people. It's way more fun and rewarding than always trying to sell your stuff, which is like super draining, and it really just puts a wall between you and other people. That isn't to say you can't post stuff about, the work you're putting out. That's totally fine. People expect updates for comics or, posts about selling commissions. That's totally fine. But when you're hanging out on social media, you should be trying to make friends. And it's hard. It's really hard when you're shy. The term networking always seemed so spooky to me until I realized that it's just talking to people and connecting with people. You're going to meet some cool people and make friends, and eventually those friends are going to have a project where they need to hire an artist, and they're going to go to you first because, you know, when you're friends with someone, you trust them, you have a good sense of like how they work, it's easy to talk to them because they're your friend. So they're going to come to you first when they have these big projects that they need to hire someone for, opposed to going to a complete stranger where it's kind of like a gamble on who you're going to get. I hope that helps you shy boops out there. my people. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions or you'd like to request a video topic, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!